Good day everyone and welcome. This is Matt Genzulator East casting another game on behalf of the CSL. Today we have for Brigham Young University, Gattaca playing as Protoss in the upper left corner of Fighting Spirit against Lark playing as Terran in the lower left corner of Fighting Spirit. I'm expecting a pretty good game because this was specifically sent to me by our friend Hazelnut, so hopefully it's really worth the cast. I'm really expecting a lot out of this. We see a pylon going down, a supply depot going down, whatever. If you look at this map, this is Fighting Spirit. This is one of the older Brood War maps, and when I say older, I mean more recent. It came out, I think, in around 2007, or at least that's when it started to become popular on iCup. Fighting Spirit, it's a very interesting map. It's a 4-player map with a very easy second and a relatively easy to take third. But once you have your third, it's a little bit difficult to hold on to it, as there's this little ramp that's, in our Terran player's case, this ramp is about 30 feet away from the entrance of our Protoss player's natural. So it's very difficult to secure that third position, especially if you're right here. For the Protoss player in this game, however, his third position is relatively easy to secure, especially because Terran doesn't have an extremely fast army in general. So even if you just put some pylons to keep the helions out right here, just like you used to do with vultures, it's very easy to take and defend that third if you're in this position, playing against this position here. Looking at our Terran player, he's got a nice little refinery going up pretty early, and he's going to make that orbital. Protoss player opening very standard. Is he going to make a zealot, or is he going to wait for the cyber core to chrono out a stalker? We'll see. Looks like he's not making a zealot, which is totally fine, especially because this map doesn't have extremely close spawn positions. I mean, well, there's a zealot. It came out a little, it didn't come out right as the gateway finished, but that's fine. On a map like this, you really don't have to worry about getting rushed or anything cheesy being extremely effective, because the rush distances are relatively far. I mean, I'd say on this map, I mean, a lot of you aren't familiar with it because it's not a ladder map, but it's very comparable to maybe close distances on Shikuras. It might be a little bit shorter than that, but still, it's quite a walking distance, especially from your main to the opponent's main. So it doesn't really matter if you are late on getting out that first zealot. He's following up with a stalker. He threw down one chrono boost on this cyber core, but really he didn't save up. Oh, there's another one. He didn't save up any chrono boost to try and get that warp gate tech out very fast. That may or may not be very telling as to what his build is going to be. He may get a early robotics. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means really. It could mean anything. Our turn player, he's going to go up here. He's going to scout around, look for some pylons. He sees absolutely nothing. As a result of not saving up any chrono boost for those for that warp gate tech, he ended up actually getting ahead by about 5 workers. So maybe that'll play off later on in the game. We'll see. I'm not sure. Have to find out. Our turn player, it looks like he's going for a 1-1-1. He's got his second gas up relatively early as well. It looks like there's definitely going to be Banshees or Ravens. I'm guessing Banshee with maybe Cloak. But if he does go for that direction, it's going to be pretty much neutralized because this robo facility is pretty early. He's going 1-gate robo, so this observer will be out relatively quick. These stalkers just poke up a little bit, see that there's a bunker or two, and they're like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. They're getting out of there. And he is going to follow it up with an expansion, so he knows the turn player is playing defensively and is likely either fast expanding or teching up. So as a result of this, he feels pretty confident about being able to get this expansion up early. So, and he knows if there are Banshees, he's going to have that really quick observer. It's about to be up right now. we got cloak coming down from the Terran player. It's going to be absolutely useless. And there's a second observer. It's going to be even more useless. He queued up a couple banshees, so it seems like he's pretty dedicated to that. He's pumping marines, and he's starting to get a tech lab on his factory, but I'm really not sure how he's going to follow up with this if he doesn't pop down a command center very soon. He's going to be way behind on the macro front because I could not see the Protoss with 3 stalkers and a sentry and 2 observers and more stalkers coming in. I could not see him faltering against this type of Banshee harassment. It looks like if we go back to the income tab, our Protoss player still has his lead of 5 or 6 probes, and that lead is about to skyrocket as this second Nexus has come up. Unless this Banshee does some extremely good micro, we're not going to see any balancing of the worker count, and this Protoss player is just going to get out of control. Our Terran player, he stopped queuing up the Banshees, he went for the expansion, so it looks like he is still in this game, he still has a chance. These Banshees, they might get a couple kills. There's 1 kill, 2 kill, 3, 4, and then he knows he's got to get out of there. The observer's right here, so his cloak is not working. He may lose a Banshee right here. Nope, both of them are around half health, so very well handled by the Protoss player. He was about maybe 5 seconds behind on his reaction time, but I mean otherwise he did the right thing. I think he's still ahead by 5 workers, so these Banshees really did not quite pay for the investment that they ended up being. I mean, when this Raven comes out, he may be able to do something with that, but right now this Terran player is very far behind. If we look at the army values, I mean, he's not that drastically behind, but income, he's behind by 7 workers, and he may try to hidden expand to try and catch up and get some type of an edge, but I really don't know. It's a really hit or miss thing. If it works out, it works out. There it is right now. If it works out, he still has a chance to be in the game. If it doesn't work out, it's pretty much game over. Our Protoss player now ahead by more than 10 probes. He's going into Colossus tech, and he's got 4 warp gates up and producing pretty quickly. Although I do not like the fact that he has some money and he has some warp-ins available to use. He's kind of not keeping up with his macro as well as he could. I'm not sure what he was focusing on at that time, but these stalkers here, it looks like they're just going to snipe these Banshees because this observer is, wow, that Banshee's almost gone, and these two, let's see if he tries to get a pylon. Nope, he's just going to run out of there and scout around, see if there's a third. He might even just continue over here and see if there's a hidden expansion, but he's not going to find anything. It looks like this third base from our Terran player is not going to be scouted by our Protoss player, and a Raven popped out right in time to see that observer before it floated away, and the bunker just sniped it down. It looks like our Terran player is going to do something quite risky here. Although there aren't any Zell Naga towers to see that the SCVs are being transferred, if Protoss haphazardly happened to have like some units out in the middle of the map, they would have seen this SCV transfer, and that certainly would have looked suspicious, especially with this being an orbital as opposed to a planetary. He would have had no chance if the Protoss saw a transfer to this orbital over here. Protoss player, he's gearing up to take that third base. He's putting down a pylon here in case he wants to warp in if he sees some Banshees around. Meanwhile, he's keeping his stalkers in his basis relatively close to his probe lines just in case those Banshees come back for more, which is looking like exactly what they're going to do. They're going to get this pylon here. Our Terran player, if we go to the production tab, he's going to be making absolutely nothing. Okay, there's something, but I mean, this factory is completely idle. Starport idle, barracks idle. These 3 barracks were idle right when I clicked on the production tab, but now they're working. These things he just tech switched. Hopefully gets these things pumping. Our Protoss player, on the other hand, is going to be getting his Colossus range, that nice thermal lance. Although he only has 1 Colossus right now to take advantage of that with, but he's got 2 more on the way. Okay, 1 more on the way, and 2 are out. It looks like he's definitely got the money to put up this third base, so if he decides to do that soon, I would not feel bad for him because he is still ahead despite this third expansion being up. If we look at the food count, I mean, it's 129 to 116, 118. So he's still ahead. He puts this up, but I'm not sure. The Banshees may snipe this if he doesn't morph into. No, I don't think he canceled that. Wow, our Protoss player did not cancel that Nexus, so he just lost 400 minerals. That was very sloppy, but I mean, it's okay. He's still ahead. As long as he does something with this army soon, before this Terran player just... I don't think he can walk in the front door. That's one issue. I don't think he can really do anything unless he wants to get some colossi. Ooh, there's a siege tank well placed right here. Unless he sees this third, there's nothing the Protoss can effectively do right now, unfortunately. So he's in a really tough place because this Terran is really turtling hard, as Terrans are known to do. Except for these 3 Banshees up here, he's very confined to his base, and except for this third right here, I mean, it's just a miracle that the Protoss player hasn't scouted this. If I was generally at around the 15-minute mark to the 20-minute mark, what I'll do is I'll take Marine or I guess in the Protoss class like a Zealot or a Probe or something, just send it to the auxiliary basis, just check out to see if there's anything there, but looks like he's gonna ignore it. These Banshees almost snipe a Colossus. That's kind of blundersome. Another blunder that I'm seeing from the Protoss is he's keeping these 2 observers together. He could have detection in 2 places at once with these observers, but he chooses not to, which somewhat confuses me. But he just got 2 Banshee kills, so it looks like he's doing okay, except for the fact that Banshee forced a Nexus cancel. So our Protoss player, although he really got a very heavy lead at the beginning, he's really falling behind fast because our Terran player has been on 3 fully saturated bases for a little bit now. He's getting a 4th up, and our Protoss player is he's just clumsily just sitting there with his army value and not using it for very much. He's starting to finally get upgrades. I think he just had to cancel a building because this Immortal was locked inside his building geometry. Very unfortunate. I think you gotta you really gotta plan out your building geometry before you do stuff like that. And if you do have a little hole in there for units to get trapped that spawn, you gotta consider it, and you gotta set rally points accordingly so that they don't. And as a result of killing that pylon, he unpowered his robo. Let's go to the production tab. I mean, there's a lot of upgrades coming up for the Terran. He's making an armory. He's got 3 factories up right now. So he's really just macroing everything. He's got the starport blasting out units, the factories, they're making a bunch of stuff. As with the barracks, he's just making a very well-mixed army. He's very heavy on the siege tanks, which, depending on how he uses them, can be good, can be bad. Generally, siege tanks are very difficult to use Terran versus Protoss if you want to do it right and do it efficiently. If you don't have enough of them and you don't have enough backing them up, they're a very inefficient unit to get against Protoss. So let's see how he does this if he micros this properly. He's also bringing along about 16 SCVs with this little force, so I'm not sure if that's going to do much, if anything. Our Protoss player just took it. I think he's completely AFK from his army for a little bit there, but he figured that out. Protoss finally getting his high Templar tech at the 1830 mark, and his attack upgrades, are about to finish. Our Protoss player is going to go and brute force this. He has a couple Zealots that were trapped there for a little bit, so this is going to be difficult to win. But it looks like he's coming out ahead just because he has a higher army value in general. Protoss players should be able to come in here, clean up all these siege tanks, no problem, and then follow up by killing these Vikings and these dropships. Yeah, those things are all toast. He's really gonna run in right now, follow up. Either that or he's gonna figure out about this thing going on. Terran's continuing to make barracks, factory number 6, 5, and 4. They're all coming up right here. So he's gonna have 6 factories pumping in a second, and if he can defend this, he may have the game, because it looks like if this Protoss player really can't make the get rid of all this production here, it could be GG. He just really doesn't have the macro to keep up with this Terran player. Very smart. Our Terran player put down a planetary fortress at his 4th base, which is really right there defending his 3rd base. So as long as he gets this saturated, he's going to be ahead. He's kind of ignoring these idle SCVs here, which hurts, but he's going to be popping down tech labs on these factories. Maybe he'll do some type of Thor thing, or maybe he's just going to stick with the siege tanks. But in the meantime, this Protoss player is doing the damage he needs to do. Oh my gosh, I was hoping this Protoss player would be able to do this damage, because this game is so uneven right now. Right now, he's just spawn killing everything that pops out of these production facilities. This Rodder is just running in. He's not going to do anything. He's just going to walk in and die. These SCVs, they're very scared. They're running around, trying to get to the corner. They don't know what to do. This Terran player really doesn't have any chance of defending this. He has the production, but he doesn't have the army value. If you look at the army values, it's 3,500, 1,300 to practically nothing. So, Protoss player looks like he's just going to ravage through here. If I was the Terran player, I'd just lift off and run right now and see what I can do over here, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to do something very risky. He's going to put down 3 starports, so he may go into some heavy Banshee play. I don't know what that's about, but he's still in the game because of these hidden expansions up here. But he's really going to do something to stay in this, because the Protoss player is just about to wreck all his supply. And as long as the Protoss player wrecks this supply quickly before an army value is developed by our Terran player, our Protoss player can just take out this stuff, and there's going to be no production. Our Terran player is going to be stuck with the army value he has, and this little army right here can just follow up, walk in, and finish the game. The question is, will it do that? If we look at the Protoss player right now, he's continuing to macro. His first base is completely mined out. His second base is almost completely mined out. I think it's time to get a third. Well, I mean a third mining base and a 4th mining base. But it looks like he's been waiting quite a while to do this, and a probe is here right now to do just that. This army here is ready. It knows what's up over here, I think. I think it's figured it out. Yeah, he has a pair of friendly observers just hanging out together, and they see what's up. I don't know if I would attack the P4 with this stuff right here, especially with the 5 siege tanks. I think this is a really poor decision. He does not have enough to bust down this planetary fortress right now. So, I mean, especially... Oh, wow. He could have actually finished it off, but at what cost? I mean, that was a very expensive attack to front right there. If I was him, at this point, if you think you have any chance of taking down this P4, what you gotta do, you gotta take your units, bring them up here, out of the range of the siege tanks, and just snipe it. Otherwise, you're just completely screwed. And I think a lot of the indecision here really screwed over our Protoss player, because he definitely could have taken that battle. He could have taken down the planetary fortress if he was a bit more decisive, and he could have taken it out at fewer losses if he was a bit more conscientious of his micro. Right now he's going to be going into getting charge. Kadaran Amulet is taking a while, though he does have storms. What else is he upgrading? He's upgrading his armor for level 1, and our Terran player has this nice little barracks left here, this nice little supply depot, some remnants of his former base. I'd appreciate if a Protoss player were to scout this base right here, just to make sure that the Terran has nothing. I really think that's something that you gotta take care of, especially if you see that he knows that this base is well established, as with this base, so because of the siege tanks and Vikings there, so he should realize that this Terran is playing some dirty tricks in terms of getting up very sneaky expansions. So he should really be scouting them all almost constantly, especially with these 2 observers. I mean, what is our Protoss player doing? He had 2 observers. They were hanging out together. They really should have been split up. Here, finally, he's checking out this base, which is good. But he's also going to check out this base. He did look at the gold and kill that the destructibles there. He's going for a second roundabout of the first base, but at this point he should really be focusing on this base here, because this is the only remaining base in which the Terran could logically have a base operating, except for maybe this base. But I mean, this base is so disconnected from this base. If the Terran player did have it, it would be gone in a second if the Protoss player found it. I really don't know what our Protoss player is doing. He's walking back up into the main. He's not finding anything. He's got to find this base right here. Despite the fact that he's been ahead ever since he took out the entire Terran base, basically, he's really gonna continue to stay in this game. He's kind of getting complacent, if you will. He's really not keeping up. Our Terran player, meanwhile, he knows how far behind he feels. He has a feeling in his gut, wow, I am very far behind right now. I really gotta do something drastic. I really gotta keep playing really at the top of my game to stay in this. So our Terran player still has the motivation. He's still fighting. Although he is not building the SCVs that he should be to saturate this third base. He's doing a bit more Banshee harassment with these here on the fourth base of our Protoss player, and this is very effective. This Banshee has 6 kills, this one 4, this one 4, so he's already got 14 probe kills with these Banshees, and it looks like when he runs in here he's going to have a field day, and there will be at least 10 more kills going after these Banshees. And the Helions are going to come in here. Do they have blue flame? Yes, they do. They have blue flame, so looks like the rest of these probes are going to melt. This was an extremely effective attack. Wow! 5 probes just melting right there. And a 6th one. And here comes the Protoss army. You gotta cloak up and run out of there. You gotta get out of there, man. You're not gonna live very long. Our Protoss player, in terms of army composition, he has a whopping 11 Immortals, a shit ton of Zealots, and 3 Colossi, and some Stalkers. No sentries. But, I mean, he really has a powerful army, and if he just walked up here, this base would be completely, it would turn to goo. Protoss player, he's resaturating, he's building 4 probes at once, he's using almost all of his Nexi to build probes. That's good. He should really have all of his Nexuses hotkeyed. He's only got 4 of them, whereas he has 6 Nexi. So he should just have all those Nexuses hotkeyed, or Nexi, whatever you want to call them, and just be building probes at all of them right now, because he's getting them picked off quickly. He's going to defend his probes, and he's going to attack this base right here. I do not know why he has not scouted this base. Literally, he has not seen this base all game. He has never gotten vision of this actual base area here. Whereas the entire rest of the map, he knows what's there. He's seen it. He's been there. But this is still unexplored as of the 30-minute and 27-second mark. It's still unexplored, which is quite bizarre. These Banshees are still going around, getting some good harassment in. If you look at them at this point, this one has 14 kills, 7 kills, and 12 kills, 7 kills. Oh my gosh. These Banshees have really been doing work. I mean, the Protoss is letting them get away with murder. Here's an observer coming out to check out these Banshees, and the Phoenix is taking advantage of this Banshee running out of energy. Whereas I really think Protoss' major problem within this whole game is that what he's been doing is he's been having a static army in the middle of the map. It's been maybe doing a little bit of patrolling back and forth, but it's really not been engaging the Terran, and then the few instances that it has engaged the Terran, it has not done it very efficiently. So I'm really hoping that he's going to attack this. He's going to do some type of maybe sniping these turrets here with the Colossi, because the turrets have 7 range. Colossi with that thermal lance, they have 9, I believe. Yep. So he could just be sitting here sniping stuff off while these siege tanks are kind of over here doing their own thing. And it looks like that's what he's gonna do. No, oh, he's just playing around right now. I don't think he knows what he's doing. Oh, it looks like he's committing. He's gonna take down this defensive planetary, and then he's gonna scuttle away. He just lost about 40 supply worth of army. I believe he was capped before that happened. Right now he's mining from the gold. He's got for the most part, he has map control, except for this damn base right here. He will not scout it. He is absolutely insistent upon the fact that he should not be scouting this base when he really should. He needs to take a look over here, because this base has been sitting here unscouted for about 15 minutes. It's not even saturated, mind you, but I mean, he should really just take a look, just see if there's anything there. I mean, he has no clue whatsoever. And right now we're at the 33-minute mark. He still doesn't know. It's quite bizarre. Otherwise, he's doing okay with map control. Protoss player should also have this base. Protoss player should have this base. Protoss player should have this base, because our Terran is really turtled up, and there's only one place where the Protoss cannot attack him, and that is right here. And since our Protoss has a giant mobile army in the middle of the map just walking around, he should really have all of these bases at this point. I don't know why he's... Oh, finally! He has scouted this at the 34-minute mark. These Phoenix scout this base, and he's finally going to finish it off. This is ridiculous that it took him this long. Vikings are going to run in here, try and tackle these Colossus. They're a little bit sloppy, and it looks like they got one Colossus kill, I think, and the Phoenixes and Stalkers managed to fend them off. Meanwhile, I really think he should be keeping tabs on this base as well as this base. He should have vision of the entire map right now and every single base that the Terran does not own, including this one right here. I'm really... his map control is good, it's solid, but he really doesn't have the vision that he should be keeping. Right now, these Vikings, it looks like they're going to be getting a bunch of free probe kills, as this army is completely out of position. I'd like if he had a couple of Stalkers or something branched off from the main army, just so that he could do some scouting around while he does this patrolling in front of the Terran base. Our Vikings, they're gonna come up here. I don't know what they're doing. They're just gonna chill out. Right now, our Terran player is making Reapers, so it's gonna be his third phase, I guess, of worker harassment. There were the Banshees, there were the Blue Flame Helions, and now there's gonna be Reapers harassing those workers. Finally, our Protoss player comes in here. He sees this third base. Our Terran player has a shit ton of siege tanks, and it looks like they're just gonna clean up anything that comes within range. I don't know why the Protoss player tried to engage that. He should have just come in, sniped this little command center here, and ran out. But that was not his decision. Currently, he's still on the same number of bases that he was 5 minutes ago, despite the fact that this entire time he has had complete and utter map control. I find this difficult to imagine, and he still has not saturated these gas. He still has not saturated this base, doesn't even have assimilators here on his 5th. He's really been falling behind in the macro. He's really been, it's been some sloppy macro. This Terran player, it looks like he has such a, he's reached a point where there's so many tanks that nothing can really approach it without taking an inefficient number of losses. And these Vikings just supplementing the tanks. I mean, there's nothing that can get them on the air. There's nothing that can get them on the ground. These Banshees here, they're doing a good job of keeping the Zealots off the tanks. Not quite as good as they could be. But it looks like the number of tanks, just these Immortals and Zealots, do not matter. There's just so many. Unfortunately, despite, I mean, him having map control this entire game, this Protoss player has decided not to take additional bases, not to macro, and as a result, he is absolutely screwed. He is losing all of his probes in the middle base. He just has so many Banshees. I think it's good game right now. Just this Terran mass just has grown too big to ignore. He's got 3-1 upgrades right now on the ground, whereas our Protoss player has 2-0-2 rather. Our Protoss player, he really likes coupling these observers up. I wonder if he notices that you don't get any more vision of an area if you have multiple observers over the area. He's really got to get these to different locations, because these extra observers just being together, they can't see more than one observer could. Helions, they're continuing to do their probe harassment, but it really doesn't matter because our Protoss player has absolutely zero saturation anywhere, so I mean, the Helions really don't have much work to do. Terran army, it lost a couple more tanks, but it's continuing to just walk in. These Zealots are just melting. There's enough Banshees and tanks to just do the damage. Our Terran player is feeling comfortable enough to take over this third base again, and it's just really looking downhill from here for the Protoss player because he has nothing mining. If you look at the worker count, he has 5 observers, 2 stalkers, 2 phoenix, and 0 probes. I do not understand why he refused to build nexuses. I do not understand why he refused to build probes. I think he felt like he won, he got complacent, and he just decided, no, I want to lose. And he just left it as that. Wow, this is really saddening to see a Protoss player go from such a magnificent lead and such magnificent map control to absolutely dirt. I mean, he took out the entire Terran base. If he followed up on that attack, it would have been GG. If he had macroed and taken all the bases on the map after that attack, it would have been GG. If he had even simply scouted this base right here, it would have been GG. But he left this base mining for about 10 minutes, completely vulnerable, and he didn't even want to just scout it. It's a little bit ridiculous. Terran, he's got this huge air army, Banshees, Vikings. Our Protoss army literally has no army value. He has no income. He has nothing. He has to GG right now is what he has. I don't know why he hasn't done it yet. This is his entire army right here. These observers and this Phoenix. That's his army. That was embarrassing. That is correct. You never tell yourself that you are winning. You always tell yourself you are losing, no matter how far ahead you are. If you let the game go, you are going to, no matter how far ahead, you can still lose. That demonstrates that very effectively. Hope you all learned something and enjoyed this. GG all, and come check us out at cstarleague.com. See ya.